Red Dead Redemption 2 is a 2018 action-adventure game developed and published by Rockstar Games. The game is the third entry in the Red Dead series and a prequel to the 2010 game Red Dead Redemption. The story is set in a fictionalized representation of the United States in 1899 and follows the exploits of Arthur Morgan, an outlaw and member of the Linde gang, who must face the challenges of a declining Wild West, while attempting to survive against government forces, rival gangs, and other adversaries. The game is presented through first- and third-person perspectives, and the player may freely roam its interactive open world. Gameplay elements include shootouts, robberies, hunting, horseback riding, interacting with non-player characters, and maintaining the character's honor rating through moral choices and deeds. A bounty system governs the response of law enforcement and bounty hunters to crimes committed by the player. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Western-themed action-adventure game. Played from a first- or third-person perspective, the game is set in an open-world environment featuring a fictionalized version of the United States in 1899. It features single-player and online multiplayer components, the latter released under Red Dead Online. For most of the game, the player controls outlaw Arthur Morgan, a member of the Linde gang, as he completes missions, linear scenarios with set objectives, to progress the story. From the epilogue, the player controls Red Dead Redemption protagonist John Marston. Outside of missions, they can freely roam the interactive world. They may engage in combat with enemies using melee attacks, firearms, bow and arrow, throwables, or dynamite, and can dual-wield weapons. The player can swim as Arthur, but not as John. Red Dead Redemption 2's world features different landscapes, with occasional travelers, bandits, and wildlife, and urban settlements ranging from farmhouses to towns and cities. Horses are the main forms of transportation, of which there are various breeds with different attributes. The player can steal horses and must train or tame wild horses to use them. To own a horse, they must saddle or stable it. Repeated use of a horse begins a bonding process, increased by leading, petting, cleaning, and feeding it, and the player will acquire advantages as they ride their horse. Stagecoaches and trains can be used to travel. The player can hijack a train or stagecoach by threatening the driver and rob its contents or passengers. The player may witness or partake in random events in the world, including ambushes, crimes, pleas for assistance, ride-by shootings, public executions, and animal attacks. They may be rewarded when helping others. They may partake in side activities, including tasks with companions and strangers, dueling, bounty hunting, searching for collectibles such as rock carvings, and playing poker, blackjack, dominoes, and five-finger fillet. Hunting animals provides food, income, and materials for crafting items. The choice of weapon and shot placement affect the quality and value of meat and pelt. And the player can skin the animal or carry the carcass, which will rot over time, decrease its value, and attract predators. Some story moments give the player the option to accept or decline additional missions, and lightly shake the plot around their choices. They can choose different dialogue trees with non-player characters, NPCs, such as being friendly or insulting. If they choose to kill an NPC, they can loot their corpse. The honor system measures how the player's actions are perceived. Morally positive choices and deeds like helping strangers, following the law, and sparing opponents in a duel will increase honor, while negative deeds such as theft and harming innocents will decrease it. Dialogue and outcomes often differ based on honor level, and attaining milestones grants unique benefits. High honor provides special outfits and store discounts, while low honor grants more items from looting. In addition to health and stamina buys, the player has cores, which affect the rate at which their health and stamina regenerate. Freezing or overheating rapidly drains cores, preventable by wearing weather-appropriate clothing. The player can gain or lose weight depending on how much they eat. An underweight character will have less health, but more stamina, while an overweight character can better absorb damage, but with less stamina. Eating and sleeping replenishes cores. The player can bathe to remain clean and visit a barber to change hairstyles. Hair grows realistically over time. Weapons require cleaning to maintain their performance. Using a certain type of gun extensively improves weapon handling, reduces recoil, and increases the rate of reloading. The player can take cover, free aim, and target a person or animal. Individual body parts can be targeted to take down targets without killing them. Weapons consist of pistols, revolvers, repeaters, rifles, shotguns, bows, explosives, lassos, mounted Gatling guns, and melee weapons such as knives and tomahawks. The player can use Deadeye to slow down time and mark targets. Once the targeting sequence ends, they fire to every marked location in a very short space of time. The Deadeye system upgrades progressively and grants abilities such as targeting fatal points. When the player commits a crime, witnesses alert the law. The player can stop them to avoid repercussions. Law enforcers investigate once alerted. When the player is caught, a bounty is set on their head. As they commit more crimes, their bounty grows higher, and more lawmen will be sent to hunt them. If the player escapes the law, bounty hunters track them down. After committing enough crime, the U.S. Marshals will be sent to the player's location. To escape law enforcement, they can evade the wanted vicinity, hide from pursuers, or kill them. The bounty will remain on their head. Lawmen and civilians will be more vigilant, and regions where crimes have been committed will be on lockdown. When caught by lawmen, the player can surrender if they are unarmed and on foot. They can remove their bounty by paying it off or spending time in jail. After a botched ferry heist in 1899, the Vanderlinde gang are forced to leave their substantial money stash and flee Blackwater. Realizing the progress of civilization is ending the time of outlaws, they decide to gain enough money to escape the law and retire. They rob a train owned by Cornwall, who hires Pinkertons to apprehend them. The gang perform jobs to earn money, as Dutch continually promises the next heist will be their last. Following a shootout with Cornwall's men in Valentine, the gang relocate to Lemoyne, where they work simultaneously for the Greys and Braithwaites in an attempt to turn them against each other. However, the families double-cross them. The Greys kill Sean during an ambush in Rhodes, while the Braithwaites kidnap and sell Jack to Bronte. The gang retaliate and destroy both families before retrieving Jack from Bronte, who offers them leads on work, but eventually double-crosses them as well. Dutch kidnaps and feeds him to an alligator as revenge, disturbing Arthur and John. The gang rob a bank in St. Denis, planning to escape to Tahiti, but the Pinkertons intervene, killing Hosea and arresting John. Dutch, Arthur, Bill, Javier, and Micah flee on a ship bound for Cuba. A storm sinks the ship, and the men wash ashore on the island of Guarma, where they become embroiled in a war between tyrannical sugar plantation owner Fussar and the enslaved locals. After helping the revolutionaries kill Fussar, the group secure transport back to the United States and reunite with the rest of the gang, though they are soon assaulted by Pinkertons, whom they repel. Dutch, paranoid that a Pinkerton informant is within the gang, obsesses over one last heist. He doubts Arthur's loyalty after he disobeys him by liberating John earlier than planned, naming Micah his top lieutenant in Arthur's place. Arthur becomes concerned about Dutch, as he becomes insular, abandons their ideals, and murders Cornwall. Faced with his mortality after being diagnosed with tuberculosis, Arthur reflects on his actions and how to protect the gang, urging John to flee with Abigail and Jack, and defying Dutch by aiding the local Wapiti Indians. Several gang members become disenchanted and leave, while Dutch and Micah arrange one final heist of an army payroll train. Arthur's faith in Dutch is shattered when he abandons Arthur to the army, leaves John for dead, and refuses to rescue a kidnapped Abigail. Arthur and Sadie rescue Abigail from Milton, who names Micah as the Pinkertons' informant before Abigail kills him. Arthur returns to camp and openly accuses Micah of betrayal. Dutch, Bill, Javier, and Micah turn against Arthur and a newly returned John, but the standoff is broken when Pinkertons attack. The player can choose to have Arthur aid John's escape by delaying the Pinkertons, or return to the camp to recover the gang's money. Micah ambushes Arthur, and Dutch intervenes in their fight. Arthur convinces Dutch to abandon Micah and leave. If the player has high honor, Arthur succumbs to his injuries and disease while watching the sunrise. If the player has low honor, Micah executes him. 8 years later, in 1907, John and his family are trying to lead honest lives. They find work at a ranch, where John reveals his combat experience against bandits threatening the ranch. Believing John is unwilling to give up his old ways, Abigail leaves with Jack. John takes a loan from the bank to purchase a ranch. He works with Uncle, Sadie, and Charles to build a new home, and proposes to Abigail on her return. Learning Micah is alive and formed his own gang, John, Sadie, and Charles assault his camp. They find Dutch, who shoots Micah after a tense standoff, and leaves in silence, allowing John to kill Micah and claim the gang's Blackwater stash to pay his debt. John marries Abigail, and they start a new life on their ranch alongside Jack and Uncle, as Sadie and Charles leave for other pursuits. Mid-credit scenes show the fates of other surviving gang members. Edgar Ross tracks down Micah's killer, which leads him to John's ranch, foreshadowing the events of Red Dead Redemption.